Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Dell 14S. Now look, I can't say whether or not Dell is done with their whole new name, new laptop phase. I mean, we've had quite a few of those in the last few years. But what I can tell you is that this might just be the one. Look, the Dell 14S fundamentally replaces the Inspiron Plus series we had a couple of years back, which kind of comfortably sits in between the Inspiron and the XPS series as an upper mid-range device that offers a lot of the high-end specs you got with the XPS model, but a price closer to the Inspiron models. Now, of course, what makes it truly special is that it is rocking the latest hardware from Intel. So we do have Intel's Core Ultra 7 355 processor, 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5X memory, Intel's integrated graphics. Furthermore, we do have Wi-Fi 7, though we do get Bluetooth version 5.3, and we do have a 14-inch OLED display over here. Now, the Dell 14S is special in the sense also that it comes with a ton of configurations to meet varying price points, budgets, and needs. So it really is a pretty robust laptop. However, we're gonna see if this can kind of fill that gap of being a good upper mid-range device that used to be traditionally filled with the Inspiron Plus series in the past. So let's get into it. Quickly going through the unpackaging experience, things are pretty streamlined over here. You have a standard cardboard box. Open that up. Inside, behind some protective packaging, here it is, the 14S, and this is a very nice looking laptop. More on that in just a minute. You do also get a 65-watt charging adapter, and yes, we do have a Type-C port at the front, and of course a wall outlet charging cable piece, which is always good for extendability. In terms of design, I gotta be honest, out of all the Plus models that has released in the past, the 14S by far feels the most refined and premium. I mean, you can definitely tell this is a notch above the standard Dell 14 laptop. It's obvious by the fact that you have a full aluminum chassis all around, but also that choice of dark blue color and those glossy rims around the device really add this beautification that I wasn't expecting here. The weight is a little bit on the heftier side because the choice of materials at about 3.3 pounds, give or take, depending on the configuration you choose. So I wouldn't say it's the lightest 14-inch laptop by any means, but it is definitely one of the more premium ones in this price and class segment. For a 14-inch slim laptop, port diversification ain't too shabby. I mean, on one side, you've got a HDMI 2.1 port, you've got a USB-A super speed port, and you've got two Thunderbolt 4 Type-C ports. On the other side, you have one more USB-A super speed port and a headphone jack. Really, the only thing missing here is the inclusion of an SD card reader, which really would have just made this the ultimate configuration in terms of ports. But given that we have plenty of USB ports, we can make do. On the bottom side, pretty standard stuff. So you do have a removable metal lid over here, a bit of a fingerprint magnet though, and then you have a nice large amount of space for the air intake vent, though most of the cooling mechanism is on the left side. And then you have two bottom firing speakers, and yes, we'll do a sound test later on, so don't worry. Are you sick of that crappy webcam that comes with your laptop, or wish you had one to begin with on your computer? Well, you can literally flip one into existence. I'm talking about the Obsbot Meet Flip, no pun intended. The Obsbot Meet Flip has a very convenient, fully foldable design that takes no more than a couple of seconds to unfold. It connects conveniently through a Type-C connection, and you can clamp it right onto your laptop screen or put it onto a traditional monitor, and it's all set. Equipped with a powerful half-range sensor, the Obsbot Meet Flip can output up to 4K at 30 frames per second, or you can take it out in 1080p for up to 60 frames per second. It comes equipped with HDR and also has a 1.8 aperture. The result is that you get really sharp and crisp images, whether it's a well-lit room or you're a little low on brightness. You also got some really effective AI functionality such as gesture control, which literally allows you to use a hand gesture to zoom in and out of the display with some crazy good accuracy. You also have auto framing, which makes sure that you are always in the center of the frame, so you don't have to worry about manually adjusting anything. The Obsbot Meet Flip even has a built-in directional and omnidirectional microphone to make sure you get the right audio every time with 4 selectable modes, and it has auto gain as well as noise reduction to make sure the audio sounds crisp every single time. In fact, I'm literally speaking from it right now. Say goodbye to having to take meeting minutes, because with AI Magic Notes, it automatically transcribes and transcripts exactly what you and every other person on the call is saying. It works conveniently conveniently with Teams, Zoom, and of course Google Meet. And then after that, you get a quick AI summary of exactly what was going on in the meeting, and even a transcript if you want to see it. It is super convenient, and you get up to 120 minutes included record time with your purchase of the Obsbot Meet Flip. What's not to love here? It's a foldable design with privacy in mind. You have powerful AI features, and you can even take meeting minutes with it without ever having to take a note yourself. It's also got a powerful microphone system, and at the end of the day, it's so portable you can take it almost anywhere with you, and it's super convenient, all for a sweet price of just $119. I'll have links in the video description below, so make sure you check it out. The moment I unfolded this laptop, I just fell in love with that dark blue color tone all over again. I mean, it just goes so nice here with the chassis. I kind of think it's one of my new favorite colors on a laptop. More laptops should adopt this tone of blue. It's so nice. At the center, you do have a nice large trackpad, plenty of surface real estate. However, it's probably one of the weaker elements of this device. I mean, you have a considerable amount of flex on these sides over here. It is a plastic trackpad, so that's expected. The tactility is there, but it's not particularly great. Definitely one of the weaker elements of this machine. Fortunately, the keyboard makes quite the comeback. I mean, you've got nice large keycaps. The font is easy to read. You do have built-in backlighting, albeit a little bit on the dimmer side. And overall, the feel of this keyboard is really nice. You get a good amount of key travel. There's a good amount of tactility. And for general productivity, it feels like a really nice keyboard to type on. If you're not vibing with the quality of the trackpad, or you're not a fan of smaller keyboards that come with 14-inch laptops, you could always get the Dell Pro 5 keyboard and mouse set. It's got a simple set of a keyboard that includes a 10-key pad. You also get an ergonomic and simple mouse. Both of these are wirelessly connected through a USB-A dongle, and they're just effective, clean, and simple, and don't really cost a whole lot. For this next part, my heart is so happy right now because the hinge mechanism on this laptop is chef's kiss. I mean, Dell has absolutely cooked here. So the 14S does not have a hinge that wobbles. It does not seem like it's overly tight or too loose. It is well tuned, and it seems like it's built to last for the years to come. Too many laptops, especially in the mid-range segment, offer cheap hinges, but the 14S is not one of those. So shout out to you, Dell. Thank you so much. Of course, beyond that, because this is a semi-premium device, you have a fully glass encased display, which is nice to see. The chin at the bottom isn't too big. It is slightly thicker than the rest of the dimensions, but nothing too dramatic. The bezels on the side are nice, narrow, and immersive. And then at the top, you have a relatively narrow forehead, at the center of which you have a 2-megapixel webcam. While not the sharpest of the bunch, it's definitely clear enough for your typical video conferencing call. And yes, it does have Windows Hello because of its IR scanner technology. Dell has blessed us with a ton of configurations you can get as far as the display is concerned. So the model we specifically have here is rocking a 14-inch Full HD Plus OLED panel. The colors and vividness is stunning, of course. You get a 16:10 aspect ratio. You have a peak brightness of 300 nits, though you do get a rather limited 60 Hz refresh rate. Furthermore, you do also, of course, have a glossy finish and a fully touch captive display here, though keep in mind this is not a 2-in-1 machine. Now, as far as color accuracy is concerned, you have a 100% DCI-P3 color gamut coverage with a low delta E-score, which is expected, of course, of a OLED panel. A quick rundown of technical specifications we have on board. So again, we do have Intel's Core Ultra 7 355 processor, which of course is part of their Series 3 processors. We get 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5X memory on board. And of course, we do have Intel's integrated graphics. There are a number of configurations available. You can go all the way up to an Intel Core Ultra 9 or Core Ultra X7 processor, which of course would yield you the more powerful Intel integrated Arc graphics, and you can get up to 32 gigabytes of memory depending on where you are and what configurations are available. The Core Ultra 7 processor, specifically 355 here, is more than powerful for general productivity, whether it's surfing the web or watching 4K videos online. Obviously, that's a breeze for a machine like this. If you are doing more powerful activities like programming or code compilation, you have plenty of horsepower, and 16 gigabytes of memory in most cases is pretty adequate. Now, of course, if you are going to be using more complicated programs like Blender that are more demanding, having a discrete GPU makes a big difference, but you can use it in a more basic capacity. We're able to add a ton of assets with very limited frame drops. However, again, you'll want to get a more powerful GPU variant if you're going to be using that on a regular basis. And yes, you can technically do up to 4K video editing on here. I was able to stack about 3 to 4 layers of 4K 10-bit footage before I noticed any sort of visible frame drops. And even then, it was only after I added like effects and color grading. So it's actually a pretty versatile machine, and render speeds are relatively fast as well. You could also use this for gaming, but keep in mind you do have the slightly less powerful integrated Intel graphics versus the Arc you get on the X7 model. So while frame rates are respectable between 30 to 60 FPS, they're not nearly as enjoyable as the more powerful Arc variant would provide. While performance is definitely awesome overall, thermals on the other hand are not the strongest suite. In fact, similar to previous Plus models, thermals are definitely on the higher side compared to the average on this kind of laptop segment class. So we found with the unrealistic peak load, we hit an average surface temperature of 44 degrees Celsius, which is about 4 degrees Celsius higher than a typical average we test here on this channel. And with a more realistic sustained load, that number does drop to a more decent 40 degrees Celsius, but still about 2 degrees Celsius warmer than the typical average for a 14-inch productivity laptop. Now, fan noise on the other hand has improved a lot. So the good news is the fan only really goes off when you are doing high-end productivity. And when it does, you can reach numbers in the low 50 decibel mark, which while not the loudest out there, is definitely audible. Overall, I still think thermals are an area where the 14S does have a bit of a disadvantage compared to some of its competitors, but unlike previous generations, it's no longer what I consider to be a laptop that gets too hot or overheats. In fact, regulation has definitely improved to a point where thermal throttling is no longer a major issue. While self-upgradability is going to be limited, as is the norm for most 14-inch productivity laptops, the good news is that you can replace the existing M.2 storage with a higher capacity one if you want, and also the connectivity module or the Wi-Fi module uses M.2, so you can replace that as well down the road if you need to. The 14S comes standard with a 70 watt-hour battery, which is a pretty peppy number, and combining that with the efficiency of the Panther Lake processor, we actually got an impressive 14.5 hours of real-world runtime with a mix of general productivity activities and brightness at roughly 50%. Now, of course, it's also worth noting you do get a dual speaker system. It is bottom firing. I believe it has a 4-watt output. It's got good volume and a decent degree of clarity. It's not the most impressive speaker system out there, but I'll let you have a listen and judge for yourself. Here's my honest take on the 14S. I think this laptop offers a lot of value proposition if you actually want a lot of the higher end hardware that you get with the XPS series, but don't really want to dish out that kind of cash. Despite that, you still get a very premium experience. I mean, the build quality here is top notch. I love how they've used like proper aluminum. It's not like flimsy, it's properly done. I love the overall design of the laptop. The color choice is fantastic, and the hinge mechanism is probably my favorite thing about this device altogether. Of course, it's got other good elements, like you've got a lot of selection between displays, so you can kind of configure it based on your budget and needs, and you get a decent selection of ports as well. The trackpad, while not great, isn't really bad per se, and you get a pretty good keyboard as well. The only thing this laptop really is falling behind in, or still has work to improve on, is thermals. It still runs considerably warmer than a lot of the competition, and that's something that I hope they'll continue to improve, but it is better than previous generations in all fairness. Let me know what you think of the 14S. Is this the upper mid-range laptop you were hoping for? And of course, if you want to learn more about it or purchase it, I will have links in the video description below for your convenience. So let me hear all of it. And if you enjoyed the content, make sure you hit that like button and sub to our channel. It helps me grow and means the world to me. I'll catch you in the next one.